Everybody go crazy. Come on. Where it began, I can't begin to know it. But then I know it's growing strong. Was in the spring, and spring became the summer. Who'd believe you'd come along? Come on, everybody. Hands, touching hands. You know it. Reaching out, touching me, touching you.
Ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals, non-binary pals, and a technical rainbow in between, this is Modular Media Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Boing Ryder Gaston, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner,
Simeon the Vacuuminator Scott. Warning, this podcast was recorded on Friday, the 24th of January 2020 at 10:55 p.m. The co-hosts have not seen and thus do not know the results of the following shows. WWE SmackDown Live, January 24, 2020. NWA Hard Times. Free CPW Meltdown. WWE Worlds Collide NXT vs. NXT UK. WWE Royal Rumble 2020, and WWE Monday Night Raw, January 27, 2020. Those shows will not be discussed in this podcast. We will be discussing shows from the 5 days before January the 24th. If you want to know about those shows, tune into next week's episode next Monday.
subscribe, click the bell, do all the bullshit. But on this week of wrestling, we had some fun shit.
Yeah, this was a really, really good week of wrestling, I would say.
So, what do you want to talk about first? Because I'm going to be honest, I saw a little bit of what happened in NXT, but I didn't get a chance to get to it. I did watch all of AEW this week and all of NWA.
Let's have a sandwich of Chris. We'll do NWA, and then we'll do me talking about WWE for a few minutes, and then we'll finish off with NXT or AEW.
Alrighty. So NWA, we had the go home show for their pay-per-view, Hard Times.
This was a banger of a show, man. Like I don't think it's the best power there's been so far, but it was just a really solid episode with a lot of fun, interesting stuff happening.
Oh yeah, it was a dang good, solid show, and I don't know. There's nothing bad I can say about it. It's just at times maybe like pace could have been picked up just because they had so much things going on.
It was an hour and 24-minute episode, and I will admit there were a few things in there that felt like filler. However, all the stuff that hit really hit. Like, just to start off, we had the setup for the big thing with their women's division that's going on right now. Thunder Rosa had a match with Tasha Steelz, and they did incredible. Like, we actually got to see Thunder Rosa do some stuff on her own rather than being backed up by all these other heelish people on the women's roster. And she came off just great. And Tasha Steelz also held her own. She seems like she could be a really cool person after a couple more years of just getting her style down. And Allison Kay got set up to take on Molina in the future, but first she's going to have to face Thunder Rosa at Hard Times. And I like how they made it. They flipped it on its head. It wasn't like Allison Kay came out and said, "Wow, Thunder Rosa, that was really impressive. I want to take you on, and then I want to take on your boss at some point." It was, no, you have to earn the right to fight these people, which I thought was a really interesting thing to do with wrestling to a champion.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's I don't know. There's I don't know. It was interesting.
And then we got Nick Aldis announcing that he is going to be at ROH Free Enterprise, which was just a solid little promo of him kind of putting over the NWA and the kind of sort of feud that's going on between him and Marty Scurll, but also just like it was a nice little bit of validation for all that speculation we were having last week about Marty re-signing with ROH and the territory system potentially coming back. And it's not like we were talking about that like maybe in like 6 months to a year we'll start to see some results of that. No, it's just happening now. We've got Nick Aldis, the NWA champion, going for a match at a Ring of Honor show. I think next weekend it is, and that's pretty exciting, especially because it's not even like a big pay-per-view. It's a free show that they're putting on for their fans to set the tone for this new era they're about to go into.
Oh yeah. Also, they have a Ring of Honor dude coming in and being in the
Title picture?
No, tournament.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because they had a couple free spots in the the TV title tournament.
Yeah, TV title.
That's probably just wrapping up as we're recording this. And they threw in, I think, an ROH guy and a New Japan guy, question mark?
No, I don't think he was in New Japan. I think he was just like general. No, he wasn't. He wasn't New Japan. He was just like a general dude.
Okay. But still, it's cool that they're keeping it open to just having people come in and do some work and not just relying on the same people over and over again. Because that was the thing with the tournament when it first started. I saw some people saying like, oh, it feels really big and bloated. We're having all these qualifying matches just for the tournament, and they're throwing a bunch of champions in there who clearly aren't going to win this belt and become a 2-belt person. And it's like, yeah, but also it gets this belt over that just everybody wants to get their hands on it. But doing this kind of justifies that a little more, of just having people from outside the company coming in to try and get their hands on the belt.
Yeah, and it's a little bit nicer just to have a champion, like a tournament, that kind of thing, that's not over in like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Like, I like it lasting a little bit. Like, that feels substantial to me.
Yeah.
But like, who'da thunk Ring of Honor going from almost a laughingstock to the linchpin between AEW themselves, NWA, and goddamn New Japan? If everything works out the way we think it's gonna work out, then boy.
Mm. Also, AAA is kind of sort of there.
Because, like, we can say, Marty's gonna try and patch things up between AEW, Ring of Honor, and
Marty Scurll, the bridge between worlds.
But like, there's nothing solidifying saying that that's going to happen. The most is they're friends, and he's still in being the elite intro, technically.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. There's nuances there, and it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's fingers crossed, but also look what's already going on.
The next thing up was Eddie Kingston cut a promo.
Eddie Kingston came out with. I'm sorry, I'm stealing your thunder. You wanted to talk about this.
No, I'm just saying, it's like they came out, he cut a promo, I dug his gorilla shirt, and he was basically saying like, yeah, no, lost a little, but like every loss is a teaching moment.
Yeah, it was a really good kind of sort of babyface promo from somebody who's been part of a really heelish tag team so far on Power, and that's what really impressed me about this, was just him coming out and being real about it without full-on turning face. Like, there were moments where he was like, yeah, I'm still kind of like, fuck these guys, but also I get what's going on, and I just want to support my partner. Like, I get what Pope is saying, that I should be going after this belt, I should be jumping in this tournament, but that's not where I feel like I should be. I should be helping my partner rehab so we can get back in the tag title picture. And that was really cool to see that kind of range of Eddie Kingston's character. Also, I just never heard of Pope before Power, and I'm enjoying the little bits of comedy he's sprinkling in with their promos.
Yeah, he was solid. He was good. Like, it was like he got himself over, and that's the important part.
Yeah.
speaking of getting things over, I fucking love this next segment.
Yes, fucking the question mark comes out, and Aaron Stevens hops on a mic, and he's just putting the fuck over out of the question mark, talking about how cool Monrovia is and how it's steeped in ancient tradition, and we're gonna have a flippin' karate demonstration. We're gonna show how Mongrovian karate is the best thing in the world, and you need to fucking apply to question mark school. And people keep asking him, where is it? And there's a great bit right at the end where the whole time they're just doing all these little demonstrations of like, here's what the question mark can do, here's how his karate works in the ring. And then finally they get to, okay, he's gonna break a board made out of this special wood that only grows in Monrovia, and it's like 10 times stronger than any other wood in the world, and he's gonna break it with his hand right now. And then Aaron Stevens, because Aaron Stevens is still a cocky, full of himself heel, he goes, Sensei, I'm ready for the next step. And he climbs into the ring, and he's gonna chop the board. And he goes to chop the board, but
everybody starts chanting, use your head, use your head.
But the assistant, because there's a couple of assistants, just people in like karate gis with question mark masks, they're helping the question mark with his demonstrations. The assistant's holding the board. He moves the board before Aaron Stevens can chop it. And then he whacks Aaron Stevens over the head with it, runs roughshod on the other person in a gi, and then gets out of the ring and takes off his mask. And it's Ricky fucking Starks. They're still following up on, like, this whole thing, because we thought they had taken Aaron Stevens out of the program he was in with Ricky Starks in order to do this. No, this is the same storyline. This storyline is still going, and it's clearly building to a big match between the two of them, or even a big match of Ricky Starks versus the question mark. And that's a fucking awesome build. That's great long-term storytelling, and I was super into it.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, it was good classic, like, aha, I tricked you, I was under the mask kind of storytelling. But I just really genuinely enjoy the physical humor the question mark was bringing with the fucking karate poses and all that kind of shit.
Oh yeah, question mark's a brilliant performer. Like, I know they probably will eventually have him get unmasked, but I kind of hope this guy just gets to stay the question mark forever, because it's such a brilliant character. It's a throwback to the era of the gimmick, and it's also kind of a racist ha-ha thing without being an actual race, and it's got a tie-in to like the 80s karate infatuation in America, which ties into Power's whole thing of being an 80s throwback. It's just such a brilliant gimmick, and they keep finding great little things to do with it.
Oh yeah, and like it was just really well done, really solidly paced, solid little comedy segment. And like I was saying earlier, like, oh, they could have cut some things. This is one thing. No, keep it in its entirety. It was fantastic because like everybody looked amazing after it. Aaron Stevens looked like a big, huge dick, which is what he's supposed to. Question mark looked weird, which is what he's supposed to. And Ricky Stevens? Ricky Starks. Ricky Stank. That's a reference to the Avengers.
Yeah.
Tony Stank.
Yeah.
Ricky Starks looked fucking fantastic because he looked smart and intelligent and tricky, but also like he got one over and he looked strong in that. And it's like, yeah, I can't wait to see more of that.
Mm-hmm. I really like Ricky Starks. He's one of those kind of young, hot guys who does some really solid stuff in the ring. You look at him and you go, another couple years for this guy to just gain some traction and some notoriety within the business. He's going to be a huge star. Like, I could see him being the NWA champion in another year or so. I could see him going to NXT and just being huge there. I could see him going to AEW or Japan or flipping anywhere. He's just one of those guys that you look at him and you go, he's got that potential to make it wherever he wants to.
He has it. He has it in spades.
Mm-hmm. Another person who has always had it in spades and still has it in spades is Ken Anderson, because we had the last chance gauntlets for a spot in the TV title tournament, because there was 3 spots left. One of them they were going to give to one of the previous participants in the tournament. There was going to be a big battle royal type match, Royal Rumble type match, because hey, it's Royal Rumble weekend. Why not do our own kind of spin on it and also get to tie in to this thing we're pushing right now. So everybody who's been eliminated from the tournament so far got another chance, and they basically did a mini Royal Rumble. Instead of 30 men, it was 8 men, and they didn't really come out to any huge fanfare. It was just, okay, here's this person now, here's this person now, and I kind of enjoyed this. I wouldn't mind seeing more of these. Like, there's...
Yeah, I said it was a non-elimination gauntlet match. Basically, instead of someone being eliminated and first man comes out, it's, oh no, they just come out in a regular interval time until it became a battle royale. Which gives every guy a little bit of chance to do something new. Yeah, it was solid. And really good. And also really good storytelling, because Colt Cabana and Ken Anderson have been like working together in the scene for a little bit, and they worked together in this gauntlet match until the very end. They go like, oh no, we're gonna be friendly, we're gonna be like respect each other, and then like, oh nope, real quick, 1, 2, 3. It's like, damn, and then nope, heel turn.
Yep, Ken Anderson is now a heel. He has turned heel on Colt Cabana, which has been pretty solidly built. I think you missed most of it, but there's been like a whole thing where I forget who it was. Oh no, it was Eli Drake, who's been like shitting on Ken Anderson, and even Nick Atlas joined in on it recently in his whole tirade against old timers in the NWA. And it's like, we need to get this guy out of here. He's past his prime. He's just slowing everybody down. And Colt Cabana's like, hey, no, he's a friend of mine. Leave him alone. And Ken was kind of like, I appreciate it, but I can fight my own battles. But he's still getting shit on, and he's getting more and more frustrated until finally here he said, no, I want this chance. I've still got it, and I want this title. I'm gonna do what it takes to get Colt out of the ring so that I can get another shot at it. And it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. Again, we've not seen the show yet, but I would not be surprised if they let Ken be the first new TV champion, so that they can have a blood feud between him and Colt as the first feud over that belt.
I wouldn't mind that being like the first major marquee feud. I think it would need like a little bit of time to build up to it, because I haven't seen it, but also like he just turned on Colt Cabana, and like a little bit more motivation behind that would make sense. I mean, yeah, start off as like, I want that belt. You turn on me in the ring, and it's like, no, and then build it up like for a couple weeks till the next pay-per-view.
Yeah. But that whole segment was very, very good. Probably my favorite part of this episode, actually. But then we had the main event, the thing they've been building for a few weeks now. We got Nick Aldis versus Ricky Morton for the NWA World's Championship. I think this match, it turned out surprisingly well. I really thought it was going to be Atlas carrying Morton for a lot, and maybe Morton gets in a few really cool spots. But it was a pretty even match, and that was nice.
Yeah, but it wasn't a 5-star classic. It wasn't going to like blow anybody's minds of like, oh, this is what wrestling can be. It was just a classic match.
Mm-hmm. It was very solid. Sorry, I keep interrupting you tonight.
That's fine. It's fucking conversation. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
But like, just nice, simple little match. It was good. It builds Nick Aldis up more as like he is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. It's very much a generation clash of the old fan favorite putting over the new fan favorite, kind of almost like Rock and Hogan at Mania.
Yeah, but next, the pay-per-view now means Nick Aldis, who won, is going up against Flip Gordon, another Ring of Honor dude.
Exciting. Like,
they're really hyping up this whole partnership kind of thing.
It's interesting to see where it goes.
But yeah, that was NWA. Anything else you want to say about this last episode of Power?
Just a really solid episode, and probably the most fun I've had watching NWA in a little bit. Not necessarily the best episode overall, just like continuously me looking up as I'm doing. I've got it on one monitor, I'm doing a thing on another monitor, and I keep looking over and going like, yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah. It was top-notch, solid wrestling. So, we want to talk about some WW?
Yeah, we can talk about some of them. So first things first, as usual, I gotta touch on what's going on with The Fiend, because The Fiend is the one thing on the main roster, or the classic brands, as we like to call them, I still care about. So this week, we had a thing, because Daniel Bryan is still feuding with The Fiend, where Kane came back, everybody! Look, it's Kane! Remember Kane? Are you nostalgic for Kane? What? He was here 2 weeks ago? Remember Kane?
Were they in Tennessee?
They actually weren't. I think he flew out for that.
Huh.
But he showed up, and he was kind of... I don't even remember what the fuck he was doing before, because it pretty much immediately goes into a Firefly Funhouse thing where Bray's just like, oh, hey, Kane, I remember you. We all remember you. He remembers you. You're on this wall, which means you shouldn't be in that ring. And then they start to do the thing where the lights go down and you think the Fiend's going to come out. And the Fiend does come out, but just before he can get to Kane, it's revealed, haha, we pulled a sneaky one on you. Here comes Daniel Bryan. He's going to get his licks in. And he gets his licks in, and following up on the thing where the Fiend shaved his head, he cuts two of the Fiend's dreadlocks off and holds them up proudly and victoriously. And it was a cool little moment, just kind of building into past of wrestling. Like they flew Kane out for a cheap nostalgia pop, but also
it's also a recognized tag team member of Daniel Bryan of Team Hell No.
Yep. And it just felt like smart booking, smart storytelling, as has nearly everything with The Fiend and with Daniel Bryan since Daniel Bryan started wrestling again.
It's a couple bright spots on the classic roster. One thing, though, I want to mention, Daniel Bryan got his complete recyclable T-shirt out.
Yeah, he'd been talking about that for a little while, and I hear it came out. I haven't seen what it actually looks like, but
it's a stylized picture of a forest with a blank space for a negative zone of yes.
Nice. I might pick one of those up.
It's classy. It's classy looking because it doesn't just scream like I like Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. But speaking of champions, we gotta fucking deal with this bullshit.
So there's that thing that's happening this weekend that only happens once a year and only really happens in one company because they have the copyright on the match type.
Yeah. It's gonna be a hard time for other people to try and make their own version of it because it's such a good match type that you kind of need your own version of it. But the Royal Rumble, everybody, is around the corner.
It's literally 2 days away as we're recording this.
So who has been confirmed as like they're gonna be in it? Because I know like there's been like
I was hoping you would know that so I wouldn't have to pull up a list of names. Hang on.
You think I pay attention to that?
Confirmed Royal Rumble entrance 2020. Thank you, Google Complete. All right, so on the men's Rumble, so far our confirmed entrants are Brock Lesnar entering at number 1. The story is that he has nobody left who can take the belt from him, so he's going to enter at number 1, go through the whole thing, win, and take the belt from the Fiend at WrestleMania so he can be a double champion. Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, Eric Rowan, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Elias, King Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, Otis, Tucker, Rusev, Bobby Lashley, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Braun Strowman, Shinsuke Nakamura, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and Samoa Joe, which I believe is almost or a little over 20 people. So there's a very small amount of surprises.
The sad thing is, you listing off all that people just makes me go like, damn, I miss watching them. Damn, I miss watching them.
These are all
Damn.
people we like, but they're being booked like shit right now, so it hurts.
It hurts. It's like you said Aleister Black, and I was like, oh man, Aleister Black winning the Royal Rumble. Oh, wait a second, they aren't doing anything with Aleister Black.
I honestly do not think he'll win, but I hope he does something really cool. Like, I want to see him try and push Brock Lesnar out and get like a cool few licks in. But then, of course, because Brock is Brock, he'll just get obliterated.
I want to see Brock Lesnar take a black mass and sell it like fucking murder.
Yes.
I guess we could go over who we think some surprise entrants are, because I know damn well Adam Cole's probably gonna be in there.
So have you been keeping up with the whole Edge thing?
No, but I don't think he's gonna be in it.
Really? Because I do.
Nah. It just feels like it just feels like there, like, here's the thing. People who can come back usually show like, hey, I've been going through some medical stuff. Edge hasn't been showing any of that. Edge has been going since day one he retires, like, nah, my neck is fucked. I never want to fuck this shit up.
Here's the thing though. Every fucking reliable source in wrestling is reporting that he's been seeing doctors, he's been training, and he's supposed to be back sometime in the next week. Edge himself is denying it so much that it's hilarious. Like, he's denying it on the level of J.J. Abrams denying that Khan was going to be in Star Trek Into Darkness. Well, he's also posting pictures of himself on Instagram in the gym getting absolutely shredded and staring longingly at his wrestling gear.
I don't know. Part of me just feels like I don't want him to risk it. You know?
Like, here's the thing. I don't know much about Edge. I have absolutely no stake in him returning. But with the atmosphere that's surrounding it, I would be surprised if he didn't at least show up in the Rumble. Like, if he shows up in the Rumble and does a thing and then immediately on Twitter is like, I was just doing that, I'm not going to be on Raw, I'd be fine with that. But if he's not in it at all and he's not on Raw on Monday, I'll be a little surprised.
I don't know. I just feels it. But let's see. You think Rock might make a show up just because of, like, kind of do one wrestling thing, not necessarily like a program, but it's like, hey, classic wrestling legend father passed away. I want to honor him with a wrestling match real quick.
That could be a thing. And they're also saying there's also been a rumor since it was announced to be in Tampa that we might get Rock versus Roman in Tampa, because is it Roman's hometown, Tampa?
Maybe. I know The Rock. No, The Rock lives in LA now. I think like 90% of the WWE wrestlers live in Tampa. John Cena lives in Tampa.
Well, I would not be surprised if Rock shows up just to set up his WrestleMania feud with Roman. Or even a WrestleMania feud with Brock, because that's another thing is, like I said, the story is that he said he'll go, and Paul Heyman did the whole, it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. He's going to go through and win the Rumble, which that is my thing. Betting odds have it being like number one, the winner is Roman Reigns. Number two is Brock Lesnar. I would be upset if either of those guys won. I like Roman. I like where he's at now. I don't want him winning the Rumble right now. I don't feel like he's there yet.
If he goes up against Brock Lesnar, it would be okay on a theoretical level. I wouldn't mind Brock Lesnar being one of the last two.
Yeah. I feel like that's what's going to happen, though, is he's like one of the last two or one of the last three, and he gets pushed out, and then either that person is the person that is the winner and they're going to face him at Mania, or he gets pushed out and the person who pushes him out is the person who faces them at Mania, but that person also gets pushed out and they're going to, the person who pushed them out is going to face the Fiend. I would also just like to say I would not be surprised if John Cena shows up, because he's been rumored to make another appearance for a couple weeks now. Not
We don't have a confirmation, but Kofi's got to be in it.
Yeah, Kofi's got to be in it. Did you see the video on Wrestle Talk where Adam Blampied came back to do a fantasy booking of this year's Rumble?
No, I saw that. I think I put it in my watch later, but I haven't watched it. And that makes me so happy because we did a video about him, and I was very much like, yeah, he did some fucked up shit, but like I saw that he was trying to do better, so I kind of like not necessarily forgive and forget, but like I'm rooting for him to become a better person.
He can I spoil that for you?
Spoil, yeah, sure.
He booked a really good Rumble, and his booking was that Kofi wins. He almost gets thrown out 3 times, rule of freeze thing. And there's a literal moment where he gets thrown out and Big E catches him and just starts screaming, not this year, and throws him back in. And Kofi wins by throwing out Brock. And Kofi's feud at Mania is trying to get his title back from Brock.
That'd be fucking great.
That would be amazing. I don't think they'll do that, but that would be amazing.
That would be an amazing storyline, just because like that's a thing the New Day have just been going on and on about for years, and it's like, yeah, they could never do a Kofi spot again.
Yeah, just finish it by having him actually win and go on to like it's probably the only time it's actually going to make sense to have Kofi win the Rumble.
Yeah.
However, that being said, I don't think they're going to do it. My picks for who will actually win, and I think they'll win by throwing Brock Lesnar out in the last 2, and they'll choose to face him at Mania. I think it's going to be either AJ Styles or Drew McIntyre.
Ooh,
Because I don't know if you heard, but AJ is still a heel, but he's kind of a tweener at the moment. Drew just turned face. Like, literally, his gimmick right now is that he goes into the crowd, takes off his stupid leather jacket thing, and just lets people run their hands over his chest, and he just screams, "Look at my sexy booty!"
That's fucking perfect.
Yeah.
That's a fucking good gimmick.
So, and it's super over. So I would not be surprised if Vince looks at that and goes, he's over. We gotta push him super hard. He's gonna face Brock at Mania.
I can see that, especially because they were really hot on him when he first came into WWE years ago.
Mm-hmm. Also, just AJ versus Brock is always a good recipe for a match, and I don't think AJ's doing anything super important right now, so it'd be a good thing to do.
He is leading a faction, and you know what always legitimizes a faction?
Winning the championship.
Damn. Now my heart kind of wants to say AJ, because that's how he first came into WWE 2016. It was a Royal Rumble. And I'm not saying he's wrapping up his career, but he's saying like, yeah, no, it's not too long.
He did an interview where he said when he re-signed with WWE, I think it was early last year, he said, I just signed my last contract. I intend to retire at WWE.
Yeah. But, like, he's not too long. He's not retiring next year, but, like, it's not...
It's on the way.
Yeah. So I definitely think that would be a fun little bit to do, of him winning the championship from Brock Lesnar, a person he couldn't beat once before. It legitimizes the OC, gives him some heat. It'd be good. I think that my heart wants that, but, I haven't been keeping up with anything. My head says Roman Reigns.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's been rumored since almost the beginning of winter. It's been rumored that Roman Reigns is going to win the Rumble and go on to face The Fiend for the championship at WrestleMania.
I do also want to make one last prediction. I think Keith Lee's also going to make an appearance because he got such a great reaction at Survivor Series.
And he's exactly Vince's type of guy.
Yep. I'm not saying he's going to do a ton of things, but I definitely see he's going to come in, do a couple big things.
And just talking about NXT guys, you know who else has to be in this match? Matt Riddle.
Ooh.
Matt Riddle comes in at number 20 or something, and Brock Lesnar is starting to get a little winded, and he just gets in the ring and they start doing MMA shit for a couple minutes.
Legit, if they just go shoot match, kind of make it look more realistic, but kind of go we're actually doing legitimate MMA techniques for half a minute, that'd be fucking dope.
Yeah.
You know.
So
Oh man.
then we
And,
have.
if we get a wait, hold on. If we get a
Okay.
surprise entrance of Goldberg
Mm,
and Matt Riddle's in the ring,
that's also a thing Adam Plumpier said should happen.
ooh, that would be fucking.
Legit, I don't know if it's my favorite booking he's done, but that booking of the Rumble he had was fucking perfect. However, we need to move on now to the Women's Royal Rumble, which, wow, does it feel like an afterthought this year. Like, apparently they are barely building it on the show, and we only have 4 confirmed entrants. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, and Sarah Logan.
You know what?
Go ahead.
Lana.
Oof.
Because here's the thing. They're pushing that storyline so hard.
I would say out of the confirmed people, the smart money is on Charlotte just because Vince loves Charlotte. However, I could see them making Lana win, but I talked about this on the podcast a few weeks ago. My fantasy booking is Ronda Rousey wins, coming in with Shayna Baszler and Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke. Not necessarily all together, but like one after the other, every couple of entrants. And they just kind of keep the ring clear for Ronda, and then Ronda wins just by them eliminating themselves. And Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. The 4 horsewomen of MMA are a legit faction in WWE now. That's what I want.
I can see that, but like, part of me just is going like, you know what? They're not putting that much effort into it. They're going to use it to prolong a storyline that's already, I don't want to say hot or well liked, but it's popular.
Yeah, but just like Lana versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Ugh, talk about a snooze fest.
Yeah, but you can definitely see Vince McMahon going, it's going to print money.
Yeah.
That's
Did you see
about
that story that came out this week about Vince throwing almonds at sleeping writers?
What the fuck?
Yeah, that was I was listening to Wrestle Talk's weekend podcast, and they tend to just shoot the shit about whatever they've heard during the week on that episode. And they were talking about, apparently a story came out this week that was like an interview with a former WWE writer. And they said that like occasionally writers will get invited on Vince's private jet in between shows because he's like, I want to brainstorm some ideas before we get to the next venue. And if you fall asleep on that plane, because Vince McMahon is known for hating sleep, like he only sleeps 4 hours a day. And like a legit thing WWE has put out in the past is our number one competitor is sleep. If you fall asleep on that plane, he will just throw almonds at you until you wake up, one by one, like water torture. It's ridiculous.
It sounds like a Vince McMahon thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
That company, like that man.
Being a workaholic is not a good thing, kids.
That man is so wound up in so many ways that part of me feels like WWE wouldn't exist without him.
Oh no, it definitely wouldn't. But also, please go to the XFL really quickly, please. Please just leave us alone. Let Hunter do everything.
Like, I just want to imagine Vince not letting go when the XFL starts up, which is probably going to start up like a couple weeks after the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, part of me just wants to think he's going to try and do it all, and it's just going to make WWE that much worse.
It's entirely possible, but also could you imagine how amazing it would be for just a couple weeks on the internet if Vince leaves to go get the XFL started and Hunter or even fucking Shane takes over main roster stuff for a couple weeks and the quality just skyrockets?
God, it's going to be fucking hilarious when whatever happens.
Mm-hmm. It's a thing to keep your eye on. Also, a thing to keep your eye on is NXT.
Hey, our favorite non-suicide girl is doing some things, I guess.
Yeah, Shotzi Blackheart had a grudge match with Shayna Baszler following up on Shotzi eliminating Baszler from the number one contender battle royal that happened last week. With Shayna basically saying like, yeah, this little twerp thought she could get one over on me. Guess what? She only endangered herself. I'm going to end her career before it's even begun. And they went out and they had just a solid little match. Nothing super incredible, but like really good work, basically making each other look super good. And some people were kind of upset about this, saying like, oh, it's like Shayna's sticking around in NXT. They're not calling her up after all. Like she literally said at one point, I've heard the rumors and I'm not going anywhere. Not until I'm Shayna free time. And I'm like, y'all, I'm pretty sure this is a swerve because this feels like the old sort of master of the house putting over who she thinks the next great person could be on her way out. Like it's that kind of a match. Because Shayna does win, but Shotzi looked really strong through the whole match, and she actually held on through the Kira through the clutch for a little bit, which is not something a lot of people do anymore. So very, very, very solid, very interesting thing to watch, just considering all the rumors that are flying around right now. And yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, nice too.
But then, because you didn't watch NXT this week, right? So
NXT I didn't watch this week. I do know about the last thing that's on the list about NXT.
Okay. So second to last thing though is we had the semifinals of the Dusty Cup, which the first match was fucking Undisputed Era versus Grizzled Veterans. And Grizzled Veterans won because Undisputed Era got distracted when Imperium showed up on the big balcony thing they have in Full Sail now. And they were like, oh shit, they're here to get revenge for us attacking them at UK TakeOver last week. And nope, they don't do anything, but Grizzled Young Veterans are able to get the win. And then the Broserweights come out for their match, which is actually against Imperium. And holy crap, was this a great match. Like, one of the best tag team matches I've ever seen, asterisk, in WWE. Really, really solid work from all parties. Everybody got to get their good stuff in. And, like, I've not seen much of Imperium actually working in ring before. Like, I've seen maybe 3 Walter matches, and I've not seen anybody else. Imperium's tag team guys are really fucking solid, and they had a really strong showing, but the Broserweights won out in the end. And as they're going up the ramp to look at the cup longingly before we have the finals, which are going to be on TV next week. Oddly enough, it's not a pay-per-view thing. They're going to have the final match on TV next week. The Grizzled Young Veterans come back out and they get on the mic and they're like, haha, you guys, you're just a couple oddballs. You're a couple young twerps. You're not going to beat us. We're a tag team by profession. You just decided to work together for the heck of it. Yeah, you've got some cool joint manipulation stuff, but you're not going to be able to stop us. And then Matt Riddle just goes, bro, I didn't hear anything you said except for joint manipulation. And the crowd pops. And yeah, and we'll give Chris a minute.
That's fucking perfect.
I know. And then Pete Dunne basically says, hey, I was cool Mr. Badass guy in NXT UK before I came back here. And I've seen you guys in action. You're not all that. We're going to beat you next week. We're going to win the cup because we're cool. And we're a couple guys that Hunter really wants to put over right now, which is clearly why we're in this tournament. We're going all the way and we're going to win it. It's the same thing as Ricochet and Alistair last year.
Yeah. I mean, it works to an extent.
Yeah, I like it. It's not like I'm sitting here going, oh, it's lazy booking. It sucks. It's just very obvious. Oh, we're doing the same thing as last year. All right, yeah. I like these guys. That's fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mentioned this earlier about NWAs. NWA does classic storytelling, but they lean into it and they put their tongue in their cheek and they go like, yeah, hey, look at this. The guy's under the mask. Why? That kind of like professional wrestling storytelling. AEW does that classic wrestling storytelling, but they go like, all right, what if we add a new element? What if we tweaked it some bits? What if we do something new with it? NXT is let's do these old stuff and hide all the bad parts about it and just keep the good. And all the bad parts went to WWE Classic roster.
But yeah, this is a really good segment. I'm definitely looking forward to the finals next week, though. I have an issue with them being on TV. However, I will save that rant for I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes from now, because the big main event finale this week was Keith Lee taking on Roderick Strong for the NXT North American Championship. The prophecy is finally going to be broken because we made it to the end of the year with Undisputed Era draped in gold. They ended the year that way. That's what they said they were going to do at the start of the year. So now that we're in a new year, get those fucking belts off them. And that's exactly what happened. They went out and they had a really solid match, but Keith Lee wins, and as I fucking called it, ladies and gentlemen, Keith Lee is the North American champion. And I called this before he even got into the feud. I called this at Survivor Series. So,
yeah, he is going to be one of the big stars next good couple of years.
Yeah.
He just has everything WWE likes. He has that charisma. He has a unique look, but it's a big look and it can be intimidating and be strong.
You know what? Even though Roman's kind of on his way back to being the face of the company right now, and depending on how the Rumble goes, he may be there by Mania, I could see Keith Lee, once he goes up to the classic brands, being the new face of the company in Vince's eyes.
At least one of them. I mean, that was kind of always the big part of like the Attitude Era. Is like, yeah, you had Steve Austin, but you also had The Rock.
And you also had Triple H and Shawn doing goofy shit in the background.
And you also had Mick Foley. Like, they had multiple faces of a company.
Mm-hmm.
And you had The Undertaker. Like, if they went back to that mindset of like, all right, we have Roman doing Roman shit, we have Keith Lee doing his shit, and then we have a couple other people doing their shit. It's like, yeah, we got big faces.
Like, really what they should have is they should have one guy, one woman, and then one other kind of person in the background. Maybe a tag team, maybe a spooky boy, maybe a really badass lady. I don't know. But that's what they should be putting forward on the classic brands, is like one of each of that kind of people as a face of the company. But Vince seems the only one to focus on one person in his old age.
Yeah, it's easier to focus when you have less brain cells.
Ooh, damn, son.
But speaking of how a company organizes the faces...
Well, wait. I have a thing to say.
Oh, yeah, we have things to say.
So I alluded to this when I was talking about the Dusty Cup concluding next week on TV. And so this is a thing I've seen going around, and I do really agree with it. So I feel like I should talk about it here. Keith Lee being the North American champion is great. This match was really good. However, it didn't feel as big as it really should have, being on TV. And the thing with NXT right now is, and they've gotten a lot better about this since the new year, it's not just takeover cards every week, but we're still having like a big blow-off championship level match almost every week. And I'm not saying don't ever do that, but there's certain things that like you should really save for a pay-per-view. And I feel like Keith Lee winning his first title in WWE, not just on NXT, but in WWE period, this is the first belt he's won in this company. That should have been a pay-per-view. And it happening on TV made it feel a little less special. It's still a great moment. I'm still super happy for him. And I still love Keith Lee. It's just like, oh man, the fact that they gotta fade to black right after this, and we can't get a little bit of him like being celebrating and being happy. before we get the lower third graphic. Not the best. And next week, if they make the Dusty Cup final the main event, I'm gonna start getting a little burned out on this whole thing they're doing. Like, I kind of wish. I understand we got to compete with AEW in the ratings. Like, that's clearly an edict that has come down from Vince, is just do something to distract from AEW. And so Hunter's solution is big match every week, main eventing. I would prefer it if it was like maybe 1 or 2 weeks of just a standard NXT episode, but longer, and then you have a big match at the end of one episode. And maybe that also builds, that's a go-home episode for a pay-per-view, but you can't do that because NXT only gets like one pay-per-view every 3 months.
Yeah, but here's the thing. AEW has the same problem, yet they're able to handle it better.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. AEW realized, we only have so many pay-per-views per year.
They're doing quarterly pay-per-views.
They're doing quarterly pay-per-views, 4 pay-per-views a year. So how can we have big important matches and big marquee events? Oh, I know. Let's just do it, but not do it as a pay-per-view.
And we'll build them properly. Everything's gonna have a lot of build, a lot of cool story stuff, and it's gonna take a bit. And the feuds are all gonna be going parallel to each other, but not at the same pace. Some things will pay off before others. Some things will be super short. Some things will be super long. And that helps.
I don't want to say AEW is doing, like, NXT should just copy AEW with storytelling. It's just more of like, there's a flow and a rhythm to what NXT is doing that I get and I understand, but it's becoming episodic. It's becoming, I don't feel like I have to watch every episode of NXT to get what's going on, because every episode of NXT is its own self-contained thing, because it has the big blow-off match at the end. It's like,
it's starting to become, every storyline is, hey, you, I don't like you. I want that belt. Okay, you can have a shot at that belt next week. We have shot at belt. I win. I have belt. Isn't this cool? Yes. Here's another person who wants a shot at that belt. You now have to deal with them.
Yeah. And, like, I'm not saying Mr. Hurst Hemsley is doing a bad job at it. It feels very much like he's trying to balance 2 spinning plates, and he'd rather spin 1 plate, but he has to spin the other one too.
He's dealing with an editorial mandate, and he's not doing the best he possibly could with it, but he's probably doing the best he can given the circumstances.
Yeah, and yeah, but that's life. I agree with you, but I think it's more of like, it's just a problem with a lot of WWE shit. This has been a problem with them for a while. So it's like, they have to have a giant big blow off thing because people are idiots and they don't know that things can take time.
Speaking of things that take time and rhyme, we're making the opening theme this week, Moxley singing Sweet Caroline, right?
I can do that. I'll have to get it.
And the closing theme should be him singing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Because now we're talking about AEW. Before we talk about the cruise, we need to bring up some breaking news on Being the Elite. Kenny Omega signed Marty.
Yeah!
Jannetty.
Oh. This was a fucking hilarious episode of Being the Elite.
Oh, yeah. There was a bunch of great moments. My favorite, though, Chris Statlander, Orange Cassidy, the only ship worth shipping in wrestling.
It's so good. Like, people like to fantasy book, especially with all the couples that are split up between companies. Like, I keep seeing people going like, oh, I hope Peyton doesn't re-sign with WWE so she can go and form a faction in AEW with Shawn. And I'm like, no, let them be separate. Let them do their own things. These two need to just kiss already.
I wonder if they're doing this because they're dating in real life. I don't know. I don't think so. But like,
that would be pretty adorable.
But here's the thing. Here's the reason why I think this is the only ship that you can actually ship in wrestling, because so many wrestling characters are so heavily related to the actual person playing them that to ship wrestlers is very much like to eat it. Don't ship real people.
Yeah. And a lot of times when you do actually get relationships portrayed on wrestling, especially nowadays, it's just this person is my real life wife, and they also happen to have wrestled in the past. So now they just come to the ring with me.
Yeah. Or we were dated, but now we're not, like the Joey Janela situation.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not calling either of those things bad. They can be done well. I mean, like, I've watched some of the stuff when Cody and Brandy were on the indie scene, and that was all pretty good. But, like, it does all feel a bit wore out. This feels really fresh. It's a romance being built from scratch, from the ground up, and it's between these two kind of oddball characters, and it has potential to go places, or it could just live in being the elite forever. I'm fine either way.
But like what I was saying is like they are distinct characters. They aren't people playing. They are characters. So it feels more acceptable and understanding. Go like, no, I want them to kiss.
Yeah, like we've talked about it. Chris Statlander is a crazy lady who thinks she's an alien, but also I'm pretty sure in real life she's just a big comic book nerd or something like that. And Orange Cassidy,
and she's also just a weird lady because there's a video of her playing the recorder with her nose.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Orange Cassidy is a lazy sort of meme lord who doesn't want to be a wrestler but is a wrestler. And in real life, he seems like he's just a pretty chill guy. Like, I've watched a couple interviews with him, and he seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, it is genuinely really sweet, really wholesome. It's top notch. It's good.
But also, Marty, we can't actually give you $50,000 a year.
But we can give you $1 million.
It's just hush money. Don't worry about it, Bucks. It's just hush money. And I've also got to go guest train at the Performance Center. It's not gonna happen because Vince would fucking fire Sean over it. But I would love it if Sean actually let them in the back door to shoot a bit with him about.
I guarantee you, Adam Cole watches Being the Elite and like not everything that his friends do, but he watches some of it every once in a while, and he saw that and it was like, "Hey, Sean, watch this." And he probably laughed his ass off. He's like, "Yeah, that's funny." Like Sean seems like the kind of guy at this point in time that he can laugh something like that off. 90s Sean, no. Current Sean, yeah.
Also, I don't know if I have not seen actual interviews with Marty Jannetty. I don't know what kind of guy he is, so I don't know if he'd find that hilarious or really depressing.
Probably a mixture of both, but I think he understands that, yeah, no, Sean was the bigger star kind of thing.
Yeah. But there's really nothing to say about Dark this week. So should we just light the fuse and bring the boom and get on to Dynamite?
I did like Swole's match. That's about it for Dark. I like Swole. Swole looks great.
It's good. Oh yeah.
So we had our first AEW special event extravaganza of them doing something incredibly different. Not just changing up the set like they did with Bash at the Beach.
AEW,
but genuine.
They're freaking. I'm sorry.
Okay, here's the thing. This cruise was already planned before AEW was officially a big thing. Chris Jericho was planning it a day after the last cruise ended.
Yeah, he's done one before. Of course, it was a big success, so he's going to do another one.
Yep. And then AEW happens and Chris Jericho signs. And like just time goes on by and then they realize, oh, wait a second. Hey, your cruise is going up and you're using a lot of our talent. What if we just taped a show there? And it's like, yeah, what if we just taped a show there? And so we now have a TV episode of a wrestling show on a cruise.
Not just on a cruise, but on the flippin' sun deck of a cruise ship.
Oh boy.
This was so fucking great. Like, AEW, man, they keep finding ways to take classic ideas and present them in new and exciting ways and find stuff to make the product look different and look interesting and not just, we're in arena number 463 this week. It looks exactly the same because we do exactly the same stuff to every arena. Not to bash on main roster, but they do. But this looked totally different from any wrestling show I've ever seen. I was listening to Wrestling Observer Radio today, and Brian Alvarez was talking about it, looking a bit like some club that used to have wrestling shows all the time and they were taped. I'd never heard of that before, so to me, this was like a totally new look for wrestling, and it was really unique. And I just fucking ate it up, man. Like,
it looked fantastic. Yeah, the crowd looked a lot smaller, but it looked like it was super packed. It looked amazing.
the crowd was smaller, but they were all so hot for the show. It had like this intimate atmosphere, and the wind was blowing like crazy. So anybody who had long hair when they got up on the ropes, they looked amazing. And the fucking pyro looked twice as cool as it normally does because it was blowing in people's faces.
And like one of the first things I saw, the first things I thought when I saw the ship and the ring in it was my immediate thought of like, that is going to be a very fun place to wrestle in the video game.
Oh.
Because here's the thing, WWE, the 2K games, every arena is pretty much the same, just aesthetically different.
Mm-hmm.
But you know damn well, if they make an AEW video game, that is going to be a place you will wrestle. Because it is so unique. It is so different.
There's probably going to be the standard Dynamite map. There's going to be one based off of the Full Gear set. There's going to be one based off of the Bash at the Beach set they had last week. And there's going to be one based off of this cruise ship set.
And Daly's place.
Yes, and Daly's place as well.
But here's the thing, like, AEW is purposely going, like, we want our shows to look and feel unique. Mm-hmm. And that's good. That's always a good thing, because it makes everything just pop more when, like, it makes the shows that are just in a regular bog standard arena feel more special because they aren't just the only damn thing you see every time.
Also, I don't know if you can hear that, but there's somebody out in the street honking their horn, and I guess they're just really agreeing with us. They just love the way the show looked too.
Yep. But like, I also loved how the commentators were right near the ramp, and you saw them every time the camera panned out. I loved the.
Apparently, they had to put up a windscreen because JR's hat kept blowing off.
And like, I love the little weird circle balcony thing that was just there with the AEW logo.
Apparently, that was the hot tub, and they just put that over to cover it so nobody accidentally fell in.
Okay, but it looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
There was a pool. It just everything.
The whole atmosphere, like. When I heard the Jericho, because I never heard about the first one. When I heard this first Jericho cruise got announced, I was like, oh, a cruise that's themed around wrestling. I've never been interested in cruises before, but that's kind of neat. Maybe one day I'd go to one of those. Watching this, I was like, I'm fucking following Jericho on Twitter just so I can keep an eye out for when pre-orders for the next cruise go up.
It's a phenomenal looking thing. It just made me excited for like the video game because it's like, oh man, they're genuinely gonna try. Like, that's, you know damn well Kenny Omega would say that's a place that needs to be in a video game.
Yeah.
Also, because it's a smaller ring, it had a completely different feel with the matches.
Oh yeah, like there was basically a little spillage space, but there was like no space outside the ring. Like I heard, again on Wrestling Observer Radio, they were talking about the night before when they just did what was basically an AEW house show. Yeah, I know, it was really cool. That the barricade was all the way up to the ring. You couldn't do any dives. And like, I get why they didn't do that for TV because you want to be able to do some cool stuff, but having it be that close just again gave it like this really intimate feel. With how hot the crowd was, it just worked.
The crowd maybe was a little too hot.
We'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah. But we have our first match of the night, which is Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega going up against SCU. And oh boy, it was a good match.
This, oh my god, man. Flippin' tag team wrestling. This was so wonderful because Hangman and Kenny came out, and I was really surprised they were doing this first. And I was like, and I immediately, once they came out first, I realized, oh, they're winning. Especially because when SCU came out, their graphic, you know how there's that little fun facts thing? On SCU's, it said how many days they had been the tag champs so far, air quotes. And as
Yep.
soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, SU's dropping those belts tonight. That's what's happening. But the thing is, even though I said that to myself, this whole match, I was constantly going back and forth whether I was right or not, because there were so many spots where they were just doing amazing stuff, and it looked like maybe SCU was going to get the win. Oh no, Hangman and Kenny are going to get the win. Oh no, it's SCU. It was really back and forth, and it really made me buy into it.
And a lot of callbacks to Adam Page and Kenny Omega's like interactions in the ring. It's like, oh no, they did the buckshot lariat, and he actually hit Kenny Omega like he did the first time.
Yeah, and the crowd flipping, everyone gasped. It was great.
Oh, it was so fantastic. They win the belt, and instead of staying in the ring, Hangman just goes out and drinks some beer, and Kenny's just looking out at him, going like, "Come on, man."
Because the way he wins is Kenny does a move on, I believe, Scorpio it is, and they both fall on the ramp, and they like knock over a piece of lighting equipment, and Kenny's just like fucking out cold, and so Hangman tags himself in, and he starts running roughshod on both members of SCU, and essentially wins the match all on his own. And Kenny comes to kind of as they're announcing the and new, and Kenny's like, "What? We won? What the fuck?" And they get the belts, and there's a moment, and then the Bucks run in, and they start celebrating with Hangman, and Hangman just looks at them like, "What the fuck are you? Okay, great. Hi, nice to see you. Go hug Kenny. Go hug Kenny." And then they go to hug Kenny, and as soon as they walk away from him, he takes off out of the ring and goes and starts celebrating with the crowd. And the Bucks and Kenny celebrate for a minute, and then they're like, "Hangman, come back, come celebrate with us." And he's like, "Nah, I'm good here. I'm gonna crowd surf." And he crowd surfs all the way up to the top of the ramp, and he just stands there and he looks at the three of them, and he's kind of like, "Fuck this," and pieces out.
Yeah, it was a great visual to see him fucking crowd surfing.
Yeah, again, another reason to be thankful the crowd was so hot, because there's some crowds where you wouldn't be able to do that, but they did that, and it looked so great and helped get over where his character's at right now. As did the promo we got later on in the show.
They're interviewing them, and the first question was Hangman, and then he kind of was like, "Yeah, no," and he was happy to get a question, and then immediately was like, "All right, cool, Kenny, you got to deal with Pac," and Hangman just immediately was like, "Oh, right, I'm nothing."
Nobody cares about me.
Nobody cares. So he's just like staring into the middle distance.
It's flipping Ben Affleck hearing that BVS didn't gross.
And like and Kenny's just cutting a promo on Pac and doing all that kind of stuff. Kenny's not recognizing what's happening. He's thinking, "Oh, not everything's fine," but he's like going like, "No, they asked me a question, I need to answer it," that kind of thing. Then the Bucks come in and go like, "Hey, congratulations!" Like, yeah. And then Hangman's just done with it all and just goes like, "Yeah, I'm surprised we won these before you guys,"
and walks away.
And like it takes the Bucks a second, and they go like, "Did he just,
what the fuck? What did he say?
Did he just say that?" And then like I can't remember which one it was that said that. It's like, and he just looks at Kenny. He's like, "Why would you let him say that?" It's like
Kenny's like, "Yeah, it is surprising, but you know, I'm sure they'll get there eventually, and maybe we'll have a match at some point. But it's all cool. Hey, we won. We're happy. Oh God, I'm the only one still pretending I'm happy."
It is so it is fantastic storytelling, and like it's so interesting to see this dynamic of like the elites falling apart, because like, and there's no one thing you can point to it and go like, "Yeah, this was the thing that's making Hangman turn." It's like, no, it's Hangman's self-doubt, it's Hangman's insecurities, him feeling that, all the marketable members he's not the marketable member of the elite. Like, everybody loves Kenny, everybody loves the Bucks, everybody loves Cody. Cody's in these main event feuds, and the Bucks are being lauded as some of the greatest ever. Kenny Omega is the best bout machine. And oh yeah, there's Hangman. And it's getting to him. And it's like, they don't understand that because they just see a good friend. And like, they aren't like, maybe it's the fact that Cody's not there all the time to kind of help him be like the family father figure kind of the group. maybe it's just a new situation that just like all the dynamics are just wrong now. Who knows? Because it's just impacting Hangman in such a way that it's just fascinating.
So I read a fan theory the other day that I thought was pretty good fantasy booking, which is that this is an inciting incident, and the Bucks are going to decide, you know what, fuck Hangman, he's getting a little too asshole-ish. We're just going to start a feud with them, and it's going to go to Revolution. And as we predicted, that there will be a title match between them, but it's going to be the main event, and before that, we will see MJF beat Cody with assistance from Shawn Spears, and then in the main event, the Bucks will take the belts off of Kenny and Hangman, but Kenny will be the one that gets pinned, and he'll be like, all right, great, it was a nice match, guys. But Hangman will get pissed, and he'll run in and attack all three of them, and then Shawn Spears will come in and help, MJF will come in and help, and Kip Sabian will come in and help, and they're the four horsemen of AEW. It's going to be a new faction debuting.
I could definitely see that. Because Kip Sabian, like, they're all embodying different aspects of, like, the classic heel in interesting ways. Like, Shawn is very much a classic chicken shit kind of guy. MJF is the classic rich guy. Kip Sabian's the classic, I'm better looking than you. Aren't you all jealous of my hot chick? And like Hangman is the everybody betrayed me, fuck you.
Oh
but
god! Now I wanna plaster Hangman's face over that scene from The Room. Everybody betrayed me. I fed up with this world.
Fed up with this world. You know what? Get a drunk scene and being the elite, and he recreates that scene.
Yeah.
Oh man, but no, this was fantastic. This is genuinely one of the more interesting wrestling storylines, and it just shows a bunch of different aspects, not just of Hangman. Think about it, what this is showing with Kenny Omega, because Kenny Omega's was on a losing streak last year because he's off his game. He's not in Japan anymore. It's all this kind of stuff. And
but now he's winning because he teamed up with his buddy.
It's his friend. Kenny needs his friends. Kenny needs that relationship. And Hangman feels like they don't genuinely care about me.
They're just using me. Which there's a grain of truth in there, but it's not in the cynical way he thinks.
It's super anime in the best way possible.
We want to use the power of friendship, but Hangman's the emo guy going, fuck friendship. I'm the cool lone wolf.
Like, you know what? It's not a perfect thing, but you know what they could start doing if he fully turns heel and you want to keep the cowboy thing? He's the Man in Black.
Ooh, that'd be pretty good.
Yep. But next we had a pretty good women's match with Britt Baker and Priscilla Kelly. That was a fun match.
I was really excited about this at first because I really like Priscilla Kelly. I've actually watched quite a few of her independent matches. She comes off as another young person with a lot of potential, and she's gonna go places in here. She reminds me of Maria Kanellis when Maria Kanellis was younger and she was on the Indies, and nobody ever picked her up or saw her potential, and now she's they've dropped it, but she was in the worst storyline in WWE, cucking her husband. It was very unfortunate, but it seems like Priscilla Kelly is actually going to get the recognition she deserves, and she's going to get stuff. This was her debut on Dynamite. Last time we saw her on AEW, it was the Women's Casino Battle Royal at All Out, and I just really like her. She's got a really unique look. Weirdly kind of reminds me of Rachel Morgan from The Hollows, if anybody's read those books. It was nice to see her getting to do stuff, and it was nice getting to see Britt Baker back in the ring. Too bad the important thing happened during an ad break. But basically, Britt made her babyface comeback by doing a heelish thing. And
yeah, I mean, it was a good match. But then Britt Baker does win, and Tony Schiavone comes down, does the whole, oh, here's an interview segment. But it's more, hey, I'm here so they can have a reason to cut a promo, and I'm going to be fodder for jokes.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, you pulled that lady's hair. That wasn't nice. That's kind of a questionable method. And Britt gets on the mic and she cuts one of the worst promos I've ever seen. And I'm not talking like so bad it's good, like Steiner Math or your t-shirts are too tight, Billy. Like just kind of, they didn't think this through because she first of all, she's slurring her words. She sounds like she was drinking before the match. Second of all, the wind's blowing in her hair, so she's constantly having to get it out of her face, which is distracting from what she's saying. And what she's saying is really stupid and basic heel work. She's just going, "Oh, don't question my methods. My methods are great. I'm a dentist. Have you heard I'm a dentist? Oh, Tony, don't try and be such a smart boy. Everybody knows this is just your meal ticket. You were a barista at Starbucks." Which, when I was watching that, I was doing the same thing Tony does, because there's a moment where Tony just turns to the camera and mouths, "What the fuck?" Because I had not heard, and apparently this was a thing, where he had done an interview just before he got signed to AEW saying like he was gonna get a job at Starbucks and he was just gonna do sportscasting on the side for a little bit, but that never actually happened. So that makes it weird that she's ragging on him for that, because this is like a deep knowledge thing. So if she knew that he had expressed that he was going to do that, she should know that it didn't actually happen too. And while she's doing that, there's also really weird editing where they're like cutting to weird crowd shots, and there's a guy who has Tony Schiavone's name tattooed on him. And before the promo can even properly finish, JR just says like, "Oh, this is bad. We got to cut away from it. We're going to go to a commercial break." And they just fade to black and they come back. And when they come back, they don't even mention it. This was everything we've been saying people are wrong about when it comes to the Nightmare Collective. I felt that with this. This feels like they were trying to do a Hangman thing, but it didn't work. And it also felt really sloppy and poorly put together and like it was cut off in a weird place.
I agree with the cutoff bit, but I disagree with the fact that it was trying to be like a Hangman-y thing. To me, this promo felt like, "Hey, come on, guys, I'm a face. I'm a dentist. I'm a good role model. Hey, Tony Schiavone, you're getting a good job. We all love you here. It doesn't matter that you aren't very good at it, but we love you." It's that kind of like disingenuous, "I'm a good guy. Come on."
Well, that's what I mean. It's like Hangman still sees himself. Everybody's the hero of their own story, and the crowd still somewhat sees him as a face, but he's acting more and more like a dick as time goes on.
But that's not Hangman's story. Hangman's story is the like the alienation of the group. Her story is, "I'm a delusional idiot who thinks I'm being a good role model." There's a difference in nuance.
Oh my god, I just realized. It's not a ripoff of Hangman. It's a ripoff of what they're doing with Seth Rollins on Raw right now.
Exactly.
Oh, fuck.
I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying she's already not a 10-10 promo person. She needs work. She needs help. Not necessarily like tutoring. She needs like a good thing to go off of. But when she has a tiny amount to go off of in an environment she's not used to, in an environment that's actively working against her, it will affect the promo.
It just seems like the whole thing was ill thought out when it had such good setup. And the thing that really gets me is all those people who we've been arguing against, air quotes, because we don't actually know them and they don't listen to the show, but all those people who we've been hearing complain about the Nightmare Collective said they thought this was great, that they love this idea and they can't wait to see where it goes. And I'm like, this literally has all the problems you've been saying Nightmare Collective has, but Nightmare Collective doesn't have them. And now when it's actually here, you're just ignoring it because you want to see Britt Baker turn heel? What?
Here's the thing, though. I agree that there's interesting directions you can take this in, then, though.
Oh yeah, I will never not say like this can't become good later. It's just this specific segment I did not like.
I think what this was a 7-star, like a 7 out of 10 promo, that the environment and just the environment affected it and the situation affected it, and The timing affected it because, hey, it's not live. It wasn't a live promo. It was a pre-taped promo, and they had to edit around it. It took it from a 7 to a 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's amazing promo. I'm just saying I see the potential, and I enjoyed it for the potential of it.
You know what they should have done? You know what could have made this work? If instead of having Tony come out after the match tonight, they had just had the thing happen and maybe have them like sort of question it on commentary, and maybe Tony says, "Oh, I want to get to the bottom of this, figure out why she did that." And then next week on Dynamite, you have a backstage segment where he's interviewing her.
Yeah. And like that's what I'm saying. It's like it was a 7 out of 10 promo because there was a lot of elements that really could work. It was just the environment and right off the cuff. She probably had it in her head, and like the wind just distracted and made her fumble and mix things up. I have a feeling if you give her the chance next week and have her basically cut the same promo as she originally wanted it to be, it will be good.
Fingers crossed, man. I mean, I want this to be good. I was excited by the potential of her turning heel during that Nightmare Collective angle a week or two ago. It's just this did not come together right, and it really annoyed me, especially because it was the only women's division thing on the show.
Yeah, but we do have a trios match.
Yeah, this was my favorite thing on the whole show. Because we had Jurassic Express going up against the Inner Circle. Specifically, Santana and Ortiz, the Proud and Powerful, and La Champion, Chris Jericho. I don't know why I used that accent, but hey. The entrances for this were just fucking beautiful, man.
Top notch.
Seeing Jurassic Express run out with all that wind whipping up Jungle Boy's hair and Marco stunting the life preserver, being scared of the pyro. And
I also like how Marco Stunt has stopped using the floss and has a new trendy dance to use.
I didn't notice that. What dance has he switched to?
I didn't notice what it was, but he didn't floss.
Okay. So flossing is not his gimmick, it's just dancing to taunt his opponent.
It's just, hey, I'm a weirdo who looks like an elementary schooler. Let me just be weird.
Mm-hmm. And flipping Chris Jericho coming out, and you knew this was going to happen because they had a Fozzy concert to kick off the cruise, and clearly anyone on that cruise is already a big Chris Jericho fan who probably listens to Fozzy, but the entire fucking crowd sang along to Judas. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Those are the best moments when the crowd sings the theme and they cut the theme and the crowd still goes.
Yeah, and like they never closed up on him because I'm sure they didn't want people to see it on TV because he's a heel. But if you look in some of those shots, you can see Jericho's just smiling like an idiot. He's so happy that people are that into him.
Yeah, it was good. It was so wholesome.
Again, to reference, to steal a line from Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said this. In like another 10 years when Jericho's retired and we're all interviewing him and asking him like what was the greatest part of your career for you, he's gonna say right now when he's doing all this different stuff, he's a champion of a major company and people just fucking love him. Jericho's one of the most impressive people working in wrestling right now.
Oh yeah, and like talking about faces, he is one of the major faces of AEW.
Yeah.
But so is Moxley, and so is Cody. And to an extent, so is MJF. MJF has been getting press up the wazoo.
Yeah.
But back to this Inner Circle match, it was phenomenal. Everybody got some good shit in. Fucking Luchasaurus looked amazing.
Yeah. And also it was really neat that they kind of built the match around Jungle Boy. Like he was in it for most of the match, and they also played a callback of the 10-minute challenge before the match began, and the story was very much this is the Inner Circle trying to get back at Jungle Boy for embarrassing Jericho like that, and Jungle Boy's got his friends with him now, and they're not going to let that happen. And it was just really well booked, a lot of great spots. Flippin' loved it, man.
Oh yeah, like that's a storyline I'd love to see is Jungle Boy go on a little singles run, trying to get to the number one spot to go after Jericho.
Yeah.
It's like I almost got you. I got you once, and that wasn't for an official win. I want to make sure I can get you.
Mm-hmm. And one of like, and that's the thing with AEW right now is there's so many young guys in there, and there's so much stuff they haven't gotten to do yet that it's really exciting to think about potential matchups. Because I was listening to Take a Drink, Wrestling Observer Radio's interview with Sammy Guevara during my lunch break today. And Sammy's like, yeah, I haven't wrestled this guy. I haven't wrestled this guy. There's so much I haven't gotten to do yet, but it's all going to happen eventually, and I'm excited about it. And like they were just going crazy over the fantasy booking possibilities, and I was like, yeah, a lot of these younger guys haven't wrestled each other yet. I want to see that happen. I want to see Sammy Guevara versus Jungle Boy. Let's do it.
Because the older guys are putting them over to make sure that they look like big stars. So when they do have Jungle Boy versus Sammy Guevara, it'll feel like a big match and not just something throwaway.
Mm-hmm. And it's clearly working because I'm already saying I want Jungle Boy versus Sammy Guevara.
Like, oh man, just imagine like someone just shits on Marco Stunt, and like Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy are going like, "Come on, Marco, it's gonna be okay." It's like, no, I'm holding you guys back. I'm tiny, and it's like, no, but you're a friend. And it's like, no, I need to prove to myself that I can do it. And he goes on like a jobber spree for like 5 matches, and he loses every single time. And Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy are there like, no, it's okay. It's fine. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me. And then he finally gets that win. And it's just like, that win is just as powerful as a championship win.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But this was a good match. Next, we had MJF versus, I can't remember who.
Was this him taking on, was he fighting Joey Janela?
He was fighting Joey Janela.
Yeah, and they
Joey
come out.
Janela was in like British Bulldog braids.
Yeah, and he came out and bowed to Jesus. Fucking good shit. But they had a decent little match. MJF won because Kip Sabian, again, this is another thing that fan theory I was talking about mentioned of like, ooh, potentially setting up for them working together in the future. Kip Sabian comes out and strikes Joey Janela by making out with Penelope Ford at the top of the ramp.
And Janela's face is just so perfect. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you making out with her right now? I don't care about you.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get back to this match. Oh shit, MJF wins.
Yep. And Joey Janela very quickly gets out of there, so MJF can cut a promo. He calls Cody a poet. Says, yeah, I am just another chapter in your book, but I'm the last damn chapter, which is a really good comeback. But then Cody actually comes out to have a rebuttal. It's not just he has a promo one week, Cody has a promo the next week. Nah, we're having some back and forth this time.
In a very tasteful pink suit.
Mm-hmm.
It was very nice.
Yeah. Cody's a fucking style master, man.
Here's the thing. You know my style. It's fucking weird. I'm the kind of person who genuinely loves and obsesses over tiny micro Japanese fans.
Yeah.
I want to dress like a JoJo character. That's my style. But here's the thing. Cody's suits, when they're like generic gray black suits, but when they're like white suits, when they're pink suits, when they're different color, like, yeah, no, they're nice, they're crisp, they're cut right, they're perfect.
Here's the thing, is like there's a subculture of like early to mid 20s white guys who are just really into wearing suits. They think suits are just the coolest thing ever. And they're all very serious, very plain Jane guys, and they wear nothing but black suits with a white shirt underneath and a black tie. They're those kind of motherfuckers. Cody strikes me as one of those guys, but because he's a wrestler, he's not afraid to have fun with it. He'll wear the Miami Vice suit. He'll wear something goofy. He'll wear a fucking pink suit.
A linen suit. He'll wear a linen suit. He'll wear a pink suit. Like,
he's just like, yeah, I like suits, but I don't just like this one type of suit. And it's like, that's the kind of fashion sense I aspire to have. I want to find that one thing that just really fits me, but I want to wear every version of it.
Yeah. But he comes out and goes like, "Oh, cool. I can't touch you. And we're just gonna have some back and forth. And I'm just gonna get on this other side of you where you try to back away. And I'm just gonna keep on talking while the Young Bucks fucking
They're
walk in like,
they're like tiptoeing down the ramp and looking at the crowd and shushing them. It's so good.
and no, here's the thing, and like, I can't remember, like, the crowd started going like, "You done fucked up," which we'll talk more about it in a minute. We'll talk about that specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But MJF is going like, he's looking around and going like, "I fucked up. What the fuck you mean I fucked up?" And then the fucking Young Bucks come in, beat him down, and grab him. And Cody goes like, "Should we throw MJF in the pool?"
And the whole crowd is just like, yes!
And they throw MJF in the pool, and he can't swim.
Did you hear about what happened after they, quote unquote, went off air?
No, what?
So MJF is like flailing around and trying to get out of the pool for like 5 straight minutes, and nobody helps him. And then he finally gets out on like the side. He doesn't get out on the steps. He gets out on the side close to the deep end. And somebody yells like some obscenity at him. And he turns to go, well, to say like, "What the fuck did you just call me?" But as he's turning, he slips on the water and falls back in.
Perfect. Oh man, MJF is so great. And like, I want to meet him so bad, and part of me wants him to never break character, but I also just want to go like, "Man, you're a fucking great character." Oh man, it's perfect.
MJF is the consummate, like,
MJF is what I want the Miz to be.
I try not to bash on WWE when we talk about AEW. I really do, but he really feels like what Baron Corbin should be to me. He feels like the heel who you just hate, but you want to see him every week so you can see what he's going to say and how the face is going to get back at him for saying it.
And here's the thing, yeah, Cody got a little bit on him because of this whole thing, but like, MJF still fucked him over so hard that you still want him to see him beat his ass.
Yeah.
But speaking of beating ass, we have a fucking bangerang of a match.
Our main event
versus John Moxley
with AEW Le Champion Chris Jericho on commentary.
Pretty good commentary too.
Damn good commentary. Wrestle Talk said this in their podcast on this episode, and I really agree with this. When Jericho's retired from wrestling, him and Excalibur should be the commentary team for Dynamite.
Like, here's the thing, Excalibur, I hate to put it this way, is kind of a blank face. He's a good guy, and he knows a lot of things, and he has just enough of a personality that it's not like Michael Cole.
Mm-hmm.
But he's able to change the way he works with everybody he's working with. When he's with Shivani and JR, he's the young guy, excited about the new talent, excited about the future, and he's getting them hyped about it. When he's with Taz, he's more technical, and they're going about the technicalities and the strategy. When he's with Chucky T, he's his old goofy self from PWG. And it's like, damn, he's good.
And like Jericho's commentary during this match was just so great because whenever Moxley was winning, he'd be like shouting at the referee, like, "What the fuck are you doing, Paul Turner, you stupid idiot? Why are you letting him do this?" And then whenever Pac would be winning, he'd be like, "Oh, don't worry, everybody. It's no big deal if Pac wins. I've got a plan for Pac. I know exactly what to do with Pac, too." And it's perfect fucking heel work that gets this match over. It makes both these guys look like legitimate threats to Jericho because he's covering his ass for both of them.
Oh, yeah. And the match was fun. It was big. It was great.
However, we need to talk about the elephant in the room.
What elephant?
So I get that this cruise ship probably had a very different atmosphere for most wrestling shows.
Oh, yeah, that elephant. I mentioned that elephant. Why the fuck did I not understand what the fuck you were talking about?
Yeah. But apparently they were doing this when they were shooting a dark match that's not even going to be on Dark. And like, it's perfectly fine and acceptable to say certain things in a chant when you think you're not on air. However, when you know they're shooting something for the air, you should know better than to say, fuck your boat at a boat that is pulling in alongside you at the harbor.
That was also a Disney boat.
Yeah, where people, I don't know what kinds of people, because I wasn't there. I couldn't see the boat except for one shot during this match. I could kind of see another boat pulling in next to them. I don't. According to Wrestling Observer Radio, there were people on the other boat that were like, "Oh, hey, they're doing something on there. Let's lean over on the side and try and watch whatever's going on." Can you imagine, like, being with your little kids on the Disney cruise, who's being up a little late, letting them be up late because it's on vacation, and like, "Oh, look, we're pulling into the harbor. Isn't this cool? Oh, hey, there's something going on that other boat. Let's see what's going on. Oh, what are they saying?"
Yeah, it's a bad look for AEW.
And also, this isn't, again, it's a TV match. They had to cut out the audio on this so much, because I don't watch the fight feed. I watch it live on TNT. It was like every 2 seconds the audio was going out because they had to cut out the F-bombs. And
yeah,
you know me. I don't mind swearing. I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine with swearing in conversation. You can say anything, including the C word, and I do not blink. However, in this situation, in a situation like this, when you're going to network TV and you know that's going to affect how that match comes over because the audio is cutting out so much, don't say the F word.
It was rude. It was impolite. It was just not a good situation for anybody involved. Like, I get it. They're excited and like, here's the thing. I guarantee you that you get F-bomb chants in big arenas all the goddamn time, but because they're so far away, they don't have to fucking cut them out as much because it's harder. It's harder to hear. But because this is such an intimate environment, you could hear everything.
Yep.
It's just not a good. It's not a good look because it makes AEW look unprofessional because their audio does that. No, like, some people are gonna understand. It's like, oh yeah, no, network execs and FCC and all that kind of stuff. But like, people who are just flipping by and aren't gonna pay attention, they're just gonna go like, why is the audio acting weird? I don't want to listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a bad situation. It feels very much like a situation that's only ever going to be a big problem in an arena like this.
And the thing is, like, I don't feel like I would be as upset about it if it wasn't for the fact that this is during the main event, the big story moment of this show. Moxley finally gets that #1 spot, and he goes, "I'm coming for you, Jericho," and probably everybody's tuned out by the time it's happened because the audio is so bad.
And they couldn't just cut the area audio because it's such a close environment. It bled into the commentary mic. They had to cut the commentary mic, so the commentary is going like, and it just.
It's one of the rare occasions where I would genuinely say, yeah, don't watch AEW on TNT this week. Don't give them those ratings. Don't even watch it on a pirate site. Just go watch the clips on YouTube because they'll probably have the proper audio there.
Yeah, it's just a bad situation. The match was fantastic. It was great. Moxley and Pac looked amazing, but it didn't sound amazing.
Yeah. I loved how much work they did with the eye. Again, going back to Jericho's commentary, there's a great bit where he said, like, you have to understand what I did to Moxley's eye injured him so badly that anytime he's hurt, not even if it's just on the eye or just on the head, anywhere on his body, it hurts his eye. All his nerves are connected to there, and it makes the match feel all that more impactful, which I thought was a great thing to do.
I want Jon Moxley to keep the eye patch all the way till Revolution, and he's in the middle of the match, and Chris Jericho starts working the eye, and then he pushes Jericho off, and he takes off the eye patch, and it's fully healed, and he's like, "I've been working you, buddy."
Yeah, that'd be great.
And I just want Excalibur going, "Mox is punished no more."
That'd be a great way to make people not so sour on Excalibur. Not necessarily turn him into Mauro Ranallo, but just have him make a few pop culture references here and there.
Here's the thing: don't be like Mauro Ranallo and go like, "Oh, simile. This is like this." You know, that's how he does a pop culture reference. He goes like, I make a reference and goes just like blank. Just have it be like subtle clues, just like Mox is no longer punished, like things like that, or like, man, Mox is looking solid tonight.
Yeah,
little things like that could work. But AEW was, other than the audio issues, was fan-fucking-tastic.
And even cooler, because this match was taped the night before, and actually, interesting tidbit, they made 2 versions of the tape and sent it on 2 different planes because of all the shit that's going on in the Middle East right now. They were like, just in case the plane carrying our footage gets shot down, let's send 2. Cody came out after the show and announced to the crowd, like, yeah, this was a roaring success. We're super happy with this. And Tony Khan and I just made the decision. Not only will there be an episode of Dynamite on the cruise next year, but next year we're going live.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Just the logistics of it.
And it really makes me want to be on that boat.
Oh boy, like
I'm not gonna, for anyone who listens and cares, I'm not guaranteeing that I will be on that boat, but it's definitely something I'm considering putting money aside for.
And this just makes me excited, like, oh shit, I wonder what other venues they're gonna be thinking about doing.
Well, remember, like, we've talked about all the interesting venues they had. One of the things we forgot to put up, they did a show at a gaming convention. Like, they have ideas.
They could do video game. They could turn it in a video game, more video gamey, and have it be set in an arcade.
Yeah, I would like to see them do like, remember last year's Royal Rumble where it was at a baseball stadium and everyone came out for the dugout? I'd like to see AEW do that.
That'd be interesting. Here's the thing, the first football stadium they will ever use is the Jaguars.
Oh yeah.
Like, I have a feeling 50% of the goddamn roster now are fans of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just because of how many of them have Jaguar fucking ring gear now. Like SCU, they're from Southern California, but they're still gonna rock Jacksonville Jaguar ring gear.
Yep. Well, I mean, there's that obligatory show at Daly's Place every year, so we got to get in that hometown spirit.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fucking fantastic venue. It looks amazing. It looks interesting. It looks different. Just never use it in summer. Always use it in winter.
Exactly.
Because it's Florida, and in Florida, winter's like a normal day.
Florida only has 2 seasons, summer and diet summer.
With a 3-week period of, it's kind of brisk.
Meanwhile, I'm up here getting up at 6 a.m, getting in my car and seeing that it's fucking 32 degrees out.
Yeah. But that was Modular Media Wrestling Podcast. That was wrestling this week. So Vac, any final thoughts?
If you just watched the AEW shows this week and you don't really follow AEW outside of that, I would say definitely go look at some wrestlers' social media this week. There's been some really fun stuff coming out of just like antics going out on the boat. And also go to Wrestling Observer's YouTube channel and watch all their because they were Brian and Dave were actually on the cruise and they did a bunch of interviews and they talked about some of the shows that we're not going to get to see that happened there. It's all really, really interesting stuff. Definitely look into that. Because this was a great week for AEW. It was a good week for wrestling overall, but it was a great week for AEW specifically.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was just fantastic. So, why don't you tell them where they can find you?
All right. I am the Vacuuminator. I'm a toy reviewer of sorts on those tubes that have you in them, and you can take a tube right down to me and watch my videos at youtube.com /thevacuuminator. And then you can take another one over to find me on social media at the Vacuuminator on most places.
Alrighty. Howdy, I'm Chris Boingo Writer Gaston. I do video editorials on a variety of subjects. You can find me on YouTube at Boingo Writer. Just put my name into the search bar. You can find me on Twitter at Boingo_Writer, Instagram at Boingo_Writer, and you can join my Discord server. Link to that is in the description. It's not the most populous place, but hey, it's actually picking up lately.
Mm-hmm. It's good. Good time.
Yeah, but this has been Modular Media Wrestling Podcast, a creation of Modular Media Cooperative.
Sure.
Modular Media Cooperative. Let's just go with that. And this was wrestling. This was wrestling. Do you want to do a final joke, or do you want to be thirsty or something?
Mamma mia, let me go. And just cut that into Moxley.
Okay.
Do you need me to send you the video of him?
No, I can find it. But now at this point in time, I'm partially thinking I'm just going to leave this all in as a gag.
Will I let you go? Will I let you go? Will I let you go? Let me go. The girls are about to never put a sign for me, for me, for me. So you think you can stop me to be mine? So you think you can love me and leave me to die? Oh.